Assalamu alaikum everybody, peace be upon you. I know I said I would make a video every week, but I think I'm gonna try to play catch up for the next few days because some really interesting stuff has been going on and I've wanted to share some past stories that have occurred over the summer. Um, so, 2 days ago I went to Tanta, that's a city in Gharbiya. It's a muhafadha, which means a province called Gharbiya, about halfway between Cairo, Al-Qahira, and Al-Iskandariya or Alexandria, which is where I'm studying. I went there because one of the American students here told me about this huge event called a Mawlid that's occurring there. So even though I don't go to such events, nor do I agree with them, I respect all Muslims. I'm not going to say that what they're doing is haram or against Islam or that they're kuffar or, out of Islam, but I just wanted to kind of go to see what goes on at these events because I've never been. So we went after Maghrib, the sunset prayer, around 5:30 or 6 o'clock. We hopped on the train. 2 hours later, we ended up in the city called Tanta. Now, I thought it was a Facebook event, so there would be other foreigners there. It was me and about four or five other guys who also have come here to study Arabic. Now, when we showed up there, they were like, okay, there's this big event, there's supposed to be tents and different turuq or different Sufi orders supposed to be in these tents. There's supposed to be dancing and singing and music and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. I just want to see how Muslims in different cities and different parts of the world interact with their faith. When we went there, we found out that because of I was about to say influenza al-khanazir, because of H1N1, the swine flu, they canceled all the tents, and also there were supposed to be tents in Ramadan, which were canceled as well because the government prohibited the mass gathering of people to prevent the contraction of the disease and its spread. So that turned out to be pretty bad because that was one of the main reasons we came. And I have some stories about the swine flu as well, which I'll share in another video probably in the next few days, but it's very interesting as well. First-hand experience with the disease, or second-hand, whatever. And so we went there, we entered the mosque. It's a beautiful mosque of Sidi Badawi, just really beautiful. But what I found was interesting is that the people there had a very different take on gender interaction than I was used to going to the different mosques or different Muslim houses of worship growing up and in my life in general. You had a curtain in the mosque, which is usually where the women prayed behind that area and the men prayed in front, and there was a pretty clear separation. While here, a lot of people were performing i'tikaf, they were secluding themselves in the mosque and they were sleeping all over. So in the front of the mosque in the first row, you had women sleeping and men sleeping and it was just a big mix, and that was very, very, very different and weird at first. I felt uncomfortable in there. Also, there was this shrine where the Sidi Badawi had passed away, and I've included a website here in the description so you can read a little bit about the city. Apparently this is like one of the big events that distinguishes the city from other cities. So this shrine which we went to had people kind of circumambulating around it, which is like tawaf, which is what Muslims do around the Kaaba. So it's kind of the same movement. Like they were giving very special attention to this dead person who was treated kind of like a saint in Catholicism, I guess you could say, and they were trying to ask him to intercede and forgive, which is very different from my understanding of Islam. Very different. It's more of a direct relationship with God. So that was also very different and weird. And I'm not using weird to say it's all forbidden and stuff. It's just I don't participate in such actions. I don't think I ever will. But it was just something to see. I know I'm getting close to the 5-minute mark, but there's a lot of things that happened that I want to share. So just maybe for these few days, I'm just gonna go over a little bit, or maybe a lot. I don't know. So we went there, and after that whole spiel, we thought to leave. And anyways, every once in a while, people would come up and be like, "Hey, where are you from? Hey, where are you from? Hey, where are you from?" That was different for me as well. I kind of look Egyptian, if you can't tell, even though I'm not Egyptian. My two parents were born in Damascus, and so I have Syrian and some Turkish blood in me. We went there, and then we said, okay, let's go. So we were first in the Shabi, or more it's kind of like the more the slums of the city of Tanta. And every few feet, little kids would come up and be like, "Hey, how are you? What's your name?" And ask us questions like that. People were just very interested in seeing visitors. I soon figured out that this was not a Facebook event. In fact, we were probably the only foreigners in all of Tanta, the city. And so, some people thought like they were having this big muhadara, this big lecture, and foreigners weren't allowed to look in. But I spoke a little bit of Egyptian and tried to say it quickly with the right cadence. And I was like, "Look, I'm from Alexandria." And he let me peek in. He was like, "Oh, sorry, I thought you were a foreigner," which was cool. We were walking around the shabby places, started eating some sugar cane. It's apparently a big thing. You just chew on it, suck out the sugar, and then spit it out on the floor, because the floor is just completely filled with that stuff and other dirt and trash. But the people were very nice. And in fact, some people tried to protect us from others who just kept coming and kind of saying different things. When we were walking and almost got to the downtown of the area, which is very nice, much more modern, and it's really nice, really nice. And there was this ice cream and sweets place, which was good, and a lot more raqi, a lot more, I hate using this term, but high class, you know what I mean? So just within a few feet, it was like the whole city changed, which was interesting. Um, Anyways, I saw this one grave of this other man. It said a Sayyid al-Maghribi or something, and I was like, when did he die? I'm just interested in finding out. And I also found out that Sidi Badawi, that guy, some people say he died 70 or 80 years ago, but the website says otherwise. It says he died in, I think, the 15th century. I can't recall it right now. So it was interesting. Many people didn't even know why they were there, or about this man that they were visiting. Um, so he's like, "Where are you from?" He's an old guy just laying down in this one-roomed building. And I said, "America." So I gave him, a different answer. And by the way, you're Egyptian if you drink from the Nile, and I've been doing that since the first day, because all tap water is from the Nile. And when I told him I was American, he started sticking out his hand, and he was like, "Give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money." And I was just like, "Rabbina yakhalik," and just walked away, because a lot of people do that. So when we returned, everyone was interested. They're like, "Damn, we thought you were a good Muslim. Why did you go to this Mawlid? Why did you go to this event?" And I just explained to them, there's nothing wrong with looking at different things, opening up your mind, exploring new things, exposing yourself to different experiences. That's how we grow as human beings. At least I believe that. And it was a different reaction here. And a lot of people were just like, "That's haram, that's forbidden, you shouldn't go there, that's kufr, that's shirk," which is disbelief, associating other people with God, because it's a more indirect relationship. They related it to the pre-Islamic Meccans and the time of Jahiliyyah, which is the time of, people translate it as ignorance, but Jahl means something else. It's the opposite of like hilm, being able to, forbearance, controlling yourself, controlling your anger. That was interesting. Except for the ladies downstairs in the restaurant, they were like, "Pray for us." So it was a pretty interesting experience. I have more things to say, but it's approaching the 10-minute mark, and I don't want to make my videos too long. I met a guy from Jersey who moved to Alexandria, married an Egyptian, and he's now lived here for like 10 years. And he said a very interesting thing about why he didn't want the citizenship. Same reason I don't want Syrian citizenship. I'm going to talk about that probably in the next video, about the difference in treatment between two people. Even though they look the same, they may have the same parents, but because of a piece of paper or citizenship, they're treated completely differently by officials and by people in general, and by the whole bureaucratic system of government. Very interesting observations I've had in personal experiences. talk about that later. Take care and Assalamu alaikum.